Darren Appleton to lag with Ko Pin-Yi. Ko Pin-Yi, the #1 ranked player in the world. Darren Appleton,
win the leg.
#2.
Normally when a match is about to begin, I've got a pretty firm opinion as to who I think will win. I've got no idea in this one. It is so tough.
Very difficult to call. We'll just sit back and enjoy the action.
Thank you, race to 9.
Ko Pin-Yi will break, so Chinese
Taipei to break.
Wins the lag. Race to 9. The break shot so important throughout this event. We've had just a slew of dry breaks, and it's been a riddle that few teams have been able to solve. Well, on that break shot, Ko takes a little bit of the juice off and produces a very successful break. That was an excellent job. A lot of the players have been just slamming into the balls. That was about a medium speed break, and look at that. That one ball, instead of going into the side, comes down table. He made a ball in the bottom corner pocket. That is textbook right there. Can they continue on, pot these balls, and repeat that? This is going to be a big story here if they can do it. Oh, no.
Well, that was an unexpected error. It really was.
Yes, indeed. Should remind you that the players have not had a chance to practice today on this table. All practice was up in the practice room. Similar diamond tables, but different conditions out here under the TV lights. Wow, another miss. So a bit of nerves early on in this semifinal, to be expected.
Expected, Ted, and understandable. At least Appleton's got cover behind the 4.
Extension call.
Well, unfortunately for him, though, he's got the perhaps the best jumper in the game, in Ko Pin-Yi, attacking this yellow 1 ball. Didn't even make contact. And that's a foul. Ball in hand for England A.
Well, I think that's the one eventuality we didn't see coming. No contact whatsoever. What a gift.
And that'll tell you something about the style of play of these two from Chinese Taipei. He could have just attempted to hit the 1 just to make contact and perhaps get a safety. He actually tried to pot it. So they are very offensive players. Play a lot of daring shots. Sometimes you risk, you get the reward, and sometimes you pay. In that case, all in hand.
Extension call.
Just a reminder, if you're watching us for the first time this week, the 30-second shot clock is in operation. In each rack, each team has the opportunity to take one 30-second extension. England have taken theirs here. Just to get clear in their minds what they want to do positionally. You might have noticed 2 numbers on the left-hand shoulders of the English team. Karl Boys number 3, Darren Appleton number 5. Now that's to signify the amount of winning Mosconi Cup teams they've been on.
Nicely done to get position on that pink 4. So England looking good here to get on the board first. They better get on the board. The 2 errors from Chinese Taipei in this first rack. So just this elementary 9 ball for Darren Appleton. England A opens up this semifinal.
Welcome back to the opening semi-final in the World Cup. It's Chinese Taipei against the host nation, England. The English duo made the perfect start by taking the opening rack. They followed that up in the second with a simple break and run out. But in the third, attempting 1-9 combination failed, giving their opponents the chance to take their first rack. This is now the fourth.
Chang Yulong, 2-time winner of the China Open, which is one of the majors in pool. It's really hard to win that. Takes place every June in Shanghai. And he gets nothing down. Now, one ball's behind the 4. Not sure if there's a path to the pocket. Certainly will be a safety on option.
Now that's interesting, considering the deserved reputation of Chinese Taipei as very good breakers in 9-ball pool, particularly Ko Pin-yi, to have 12 dry breaks, Ted, in the tournament. That's an awful lot.
Testament to how tough this table is breaking. Such a big part of this game. We always say if whoever figures out the break, even gets a little bit of an advantage and gets a little bit of luck on their side, is going to win.
Extension call.
Oh, well done. They took their time. That was really well done.
The bonus of the 4. Now this is no gimme.
Well, they've done the hard work and left it open.
The way the jaws are cut on these middle pockets, visually sometimes that kind of shot can be intimidating.
Extension call.
Didn't expect Appleton to miss it, but there was always the possibility.
Missed it by a fair amount, and that's why he is just disgusted with himself. Such a poor effort. So Ko Pin-yi, chance now to tie. Wow, that is way off. So 2 of the best in the world missing. Very makeable pots.
Well, that was extraordinary. Well, 2 mistakes from Chinese Taipei in rack number 1, and now again here.
Well, yet another error.
Ball in hand.
A very good pot, but the the cue ball scratches.
I can't imagine the Chinese Taipei aren't going to clear up now. This is the simplest task imaginable for players of this standard. Just thinking, you know, Ted, the world over, friends love to have a few racks of pool, wherever it might be, bar, club, whatever the city, whatever the town around the world. And I'll tell you what, everyone who's played pool would love to have a go on this table. It is just beautiful. A little fast, it might be a little intimidating for a novice, but boy, conditions are pristine.
You really have to slow down your stroke. This isn't a pub table here where you can just bang the balls. Becomes a real finesse game like that right there. Have that soft touch. So we must say, Phil, it's not the highest quality match so far. A lot of pressure out there. 2-2 now. Semifinals, race to 9. Who will seize the initiative?
Lots of money up for grabs today. The semi-finalists will share 15,000 US dollars. Runners-up will share 30,000 US, and the winners will receive 60,000. And that means in UK pounds, the champions will pocket basically £20,000 each.
He's got the 4 ball down. There you see that 1 ball. Well, he's really good at that. Instead of making the 1 in the side, he brings it down to back up table. And he goes for one of the wing balls instead to make, and well, based on what I've seen in tournaments over the last few months, that seems to be the best way to break.
Well, if Chinese Taipei, Chung to be precise, can find the positional gap between 6 and 8, he can float down for the 2, because it will go. Where's the wide ball? Oof.
Very lucky. Good solid pot there, and he had to hit that hard to get position on the 2, but lucky not to scratch. Well, that was always going to happen. He was going to run into the 3. Not happy with that. He must have known that, but he was expecting the 3 to pop out for a shot in the side pocket or up in the corner. But now it'll be a kick shot from Chung. Wow. Hard to imagine he couldn't get that.
And he didn't really threaten contact. The wide straightened up off the side cushion, and he missed it by some distance.
That was severely misjudged by Chung Lung.
Well, a carbon copy of the previous rack, apart from which players are potting the balls at the end.
So except for rack number 2, which was a break and run for England, this has been error-filled so far. Karl Boyce takes down the 9, capitalizing on the foul by Chung Lung. 3-2 now.
England to break, leading 3 racks to 2.
Both England and Chinese Taipei missing balls in the first rack. There was that one in that last rack by Chung, missing the bank, or rather the kick, which you would expect them to hit. Dry break and a shot on the 1.
There is, Ted, but this will stretch the positional skills of Chinese Taipei to get on the 2, because it's at the opposite end of the table, and there's not a great amount of angle on the 1 either.
Oh, we've seen Chung power stroke it many times before. Here you see him jacking up to try to get position on the 2. Oh, he didn't want to hit the 8. Good effort.
It was. He's done well there. I think quite often when you have a contest with lots of mutual respect and high
Extension
stakes,
call.
the combination of the 2 things sometimes does lead to a nervy opening. We've seen this before. Ko is ambidextrous.
Well done. And that opens things up for Chinese Taipei. Just checking to see if the 4 ball passes. Decides to bring it in the side. He's not afraid to give it that power stroke, is he? We talk about how you have to be, you know, have a real smooth finesse stroke on this table, but he likes to bang the balls. He is fearless, Chung.
Well, that wasn't the most precise positional shot. Cue ball a little close to the side cushion for Chung here.
You gotta love how this partisan crowd applauds the shots from Chinese Taipei. Very knowledgeable.
We expected this to be a really close run affair, and there's nothing happened so far to change anyone's opinion.
Perfect. So the dry break leads to this clear. We're tied again. 3-all. It's a race to 9. Chinese Taipei versus England A. Who will make it to the finals?
Welcome back to the World Cup of Pool. It's England who've made the early running in this semi-final with Chinese Taipei, but after 6 racks, their opponents fought back to level. In the 7th, the game stalled on the 4-ball. The tactical battle that followed saw England create an opening and once again take the lead. In the 8th, England looked good to extend their lead, but poor positioning on the 8 denied Darren Appleton. There was no easy option for Chinese Taipei, who had to produce a wonderful jump shot to level the score. This is now the 9th.
Now I'm right down the line of the shot, and if he can get through to the 1 ball, it is the thinnest sliver.
Push out call. Reset the clock, please.
Chinese Taipei put back in. The decision-making process of England A was pretty swift.
Right in the pocket. He didn't mean for that. He raises his hand in apology. Shades of gray. Mark Gray.
Well, it really does look as though Chinese Taipei will lead in the match for the first time. Worrying signs, it has to be said, for England. Not just the scoreline, but also the way it's been arrived at.
Well, after the break shot in the last rack, they got the 1, 2, and 3 down, had a shot on the 4. I was fully expecting them to be up and feeling really good about their chances because they're not playing that well, but to be up by 2 and after not playing that well, would have to give them a big push, but out of nowhere, they lost the rack, and now it's Chinese Taipei about to go in the lead. 9-ball can be a brutal sport sometimes. Really gives you a kick in the teeth.
England were forced to respond in the very first round to beat Australia. They will need to respond again. And the reason for that is that Chinese Taipei lead the defending World Cup of Pool champions by 5 racks to 4.
I know he raised his hand in apology after making the 1 off that push out Chung did in the last rack, but you know, I was looking at the replay there. If he doesn't pot that. He leaves that on, and that was pretty obvious. So I tend to think that he actually went for it, even though he raised his hand in apology, because he's the kind of guy that would go for it.
I absolutely agree. I think he tried to pot it. The hand put in the air because he realised there was an element of luck involved. So the 1 is in, no dry break, and there's a path to the 2, but in terms of being potable, I'm afraid not.
Maybe just a containing safety.
Extension call.
A couple of times Chinese Taipei have had shots where a really thin snick safety would have worked out really nicely for them, and they've caught it a little too thick. Maybe that's in their mind here.
Push out call.
Instead of a safety, they call a push out. Leave him a long look at this too.
Boys in Appleton left the arena after the previous rack, and as he walked out, Appleton could not disguise his frustration.
Well, he's got to just look at the score line, Phil. They're just down by 1. It's an even match pretty much here, and a race to 9 with everything riding on the line. A spot in the finals here at the Alphabet World Cup of Pool on the line. You're not going to get there with too much negativity. That was the safety they were looking at earlier. Just sticking out a bit.
Extension call.
He's got the 2 on, but the 7's in the way. Could be 2-7, but that's going to be very difficult with the cut shot. That's what he just looked at. He may knock it in. It's lucky he didn't.
So thankful he didn't, because there was absolutely no shape on the 3.
It's amazing how this rack could turn if that ball turns half a revolution. And now, because that 2 ball stays up, Chinese Taipei with a chance to increase their lead to 2. It's amazing how this game can just turn on the slightest turn of a ball. Amazing.
Yeah, golden chance this. Really is. Are we going to look back at the end of the 8th rack as a real turning point in this contest? England A poised to clear up. Boys left his positional shot short on the 8. Appleton had a very thin cut, undercut it, and it's been downhill for England A ever since.
Well, you certainly can't expect to make mistake after mistake and be in the lead against a team of the caliber of Chinese Taipei. Easier said than done, of course, to stay patient, wait for your turn. Of course, Darren and Karl want to perform at their best in front of their home crowd, so that adds that extra pressure.
A couple of members of the audience got excited there. They thought that Chung had missed the 8 ball, but at that pace it was always going to find gravity. Well, it's a 2-rack gap now in favour of Chinese Taipei. They lead 6-4. That means England A are only 3 racks from defeat.
Welcome back to London for the World Cup of Port. England trailed Chinese Taipei by 2 after 10 racks, and it didn't get any better in the 11th. England had an opportunity, but a failed combination on the 5 and 7 let their opponents extend their lead to 3. But in the 12th, an opportunity did eventually fall to the English, who stepped in to clear to make it 5-7. In the 13th, the break provided no shot on the 1. A failed jump shot allowed England back to the table to clear, to move within 1 of their rivals. This is now the 14th.
England to break, trailing 6 racks to 7.
Oh, the 1 was hanging right on the side pocket. Should have gone. So unlucky. Watch the 1 ball. How does that stay up?
Well, I think that's a metaphor for the way the match has gone.
Well, as much as England A has struggled, and they are wearing their emotions for everyone to see, Chinese Taipei has really not performed that much better. They have been able to clean up on after some mistakes from England, but a lot of errors from the Chinese Taipei players.
This could be the key that unlocks the door to rack 14. Get this right, and they could be two up with 3 to play.
Nicely done, threading the cue ball through that narrow alley. Well done.
There's that crown slipping. King Karl, King Darren, are they about to be unseated?
And will we see Chinese Taipei in the final for the first time in the 10-year history of the World Cup of Pool?
It's overdue.
This 10-ball, or 9-ball rather, from Ko Pin Yi. They are one away from achieving that. And certainly the storyline this year for Ko Pin Yi, it's been victory all around. World 10-ball championship in February. World 9-ball championship, that's the big one. He won last week in Doha, Qatar, besting 128 of the best players from over 50 countries in a marathon. And he took down Shane Van Boening in the final. So everything seems to be going his way.
No more wiggle room, no more margin of error. A possible 3 racks left. England have to win them all.
You say no more wiggle room. There's just a little bit of wiggle room on this one. This is a tough shot, especially at this juncture of the match.
Given their confidence levels, I think here you might see England being
Extension
circumspect. On another occasion, when they were full of self-belief, maybe it will be the time to attack.
Yeah, there might not be any value in going for the one, so they're talking it over. Very difficult decision. Do you play offense or defense?
Not close, was it? Not close. Caught it far too thick. And the one is on.
But I just feel that so many times they have really been in the match, but they look like they're out of the match all the time. And it's not really the way to approach this sport. I guess it's easier said than done when you're sitting in the commentating box and rather than out there in the arena. But they have not had good posture and a good approach and a good attitude to this match since the beginning, since it started.
Well, you know that old chestnut, form is temporary, class is permanent. It's true, but anyone will tell you form's pretty important.
Didn't want to run into that too, so looking at a safety here.
Brendan Moore at the end of the table there, making sure there's no contact on the 8-ball over the pocket. No infraction.
Nice effort from Karl.
is enough for the two poking out.
He gets behind it, and it looks like he's taking it on. Oh, man. Oh, wow. He's got an iron will. It's amazing, Phil, how Chung just has ice, seems to have ice running through his veins. He just got right down and hit that. Looks like he's, oh, very close. Oohs and ahs from the crowd.
It was only the pace that facilitated that pocket drop, let me tell you.
Perhaps a little bit of nerves, and that's to be expected. Chinese Taipei has never been in a finals of the World Cup of Pool, and they just have a few balls left here. 5 left, and they will reach that milestone. Gotta get up for the 6. Not ideal. Wow, this is dangerous. Fearless.
In a match like this, where we've seen so many errors, anything's possible. But let's assume England do lose. They will be bitterly disappointed with their performance, even more so with the outcome. Can Chinese Taipei apply the finishing touch?
Good way to close the match with some fearless potting. Excellent job from Chinese Taipei.
Ko and Chung are through. Appleton and boys have seen their crown slip. For the first time ever, as Ted said, Chinese Taipei will be in the final